Dude, I should probably turn Twitch on, huh?
Oh, yeah, I have to do that too.
And we are live.
Well, hello everyone. This is Mike Leader, your GM here for Fringeworthy on Stolen Fires. I'd like to thank you all for being here. This is our final session, our little aftermath game or end game, as it may be. So before we get started, I'd like to have everyone introduce themselves. Um, let's do the alphabetical order. So Bob, um, Jill, Jim, Leslie.
All right, I'm Bob. I play Chewie, the car mechanic and ex-convict.
I'm Jill. I play Yuki, our historian.
Hi, I'm Jim. I play Eric, our attorney naval officer.
I'm Leslie. I play Cassidy, um, the astronaut who's never been to space.
Well, I think guys maybe attended before know that Fringeworthy is a game about a multidimensional, interdimensional exploration. And characters are part of an elite group of people who have the ability to see and traverse this massive multiverse portal complex in this weird off-dimensional space. And so our player characters have traversed these pathways looking for teams, looking for ways to solve problems on their Earth, et cetera, et cetera. And it's gone on for two whole seasons that I'm really proud of these folks playing and being a part of. So what we're going to do tonight is since we ended kind of last week in a place where we can do a bit more and finish a bit more, because I wanted to make sure this gets done, because we can take this story and go on forever, but that's not the point of this. So I wanted to actually sit down and talk to our players about how they wanted to finish this story for their characters, what they wanted to do, and once we've kind of ironed all that out, we'll talk a bit about the game itself, questions the players have, questions the fans who are in the audience, or not fans in the audience want to tell us off, or whatnot, and I just want to ask, or if Betty wants to keep spending money on malevolences, Betty's welcome to keep doing that. I hope not, because that's not a good way to spend your points right now. So, ignoring the end of the last episode, that's not important right now. So
We're not gonna get to hang out with Billy Karma. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think we're gonna go and pass on the Spirit of 77 world, which actually had an answer in it for you guys. In fact, every world on that platform had an answer for you guys, but I don't want to get too far into that. We'll get to that later. So the question is, who wants to go first? Or work it out first? You don't volunteer, I'm going to volunteer somebody.
I guess I can go first.
All right. So, what does Chewie want out of all this after his time on the Fringe Paths?
Um, Chewie in the end just wants to go back to Earth and fiddle with all of the things that he's found, right?
Mm-hmm.
He does want to finish writing the field manual for future teams that explains like everything they need to know to do and to be safe and to recover from catastrophic events. So like he will sit down with researchers and engineers and survival experts and basically compose a huge like phone book sized manual that will go with every future IDET team, so they can look up and say like, oh, we're stuck in the year 1400. Here are the things that we can do to get out of this, right? Like,
Oh, what was
so
the book you showed me that was all about that?
like how to invent everything.
Yes, yes.
I love
I got a copy of it,
Yeah, it's a great
and
book.
it's a great book, and that's exactly what you need to do.
I kind of feel like that just is just the book that he writes.
Yeah. So with a good ghost author, and a whole bunch of folks working with you, it'd be a great way to do that. So that's fantastic, and it actually again helping IDET get better, because let's face it,
Yeah.
they suck right now.
Yeah, and also he would be the guy that stays behind to translate stuff because he speaks every language.
Yeah.
So he would be like when they bring in some new guy that they need to learn some new language, they bring him to Chewie and he translates until they can document the new language.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's great. That's great. That was the most unexpected use, and the person to get that device I ever would have expected. I was not expecting you to get it of all people. And it's been awesome. It's been totally awesome and fun to do that with you. And so I appreciate you really kind of playing that out, because there's a lot of wacky things that thing was going to do to you that it didn't happen because it was your character. So that's a great story to tell for Chewie. And so being able to come back there with the stuff you brought back, like the electronic sled, which is really cool, and the kind of bits and pieces of the track that work with it,
Mhm.
as well as let's see what else. What else you get? Um,
We got that anti-gravity device that I'm
right,
guessing
the
going
anti-grav
on.
device is fantastic, and you guys have got the food. So that's a huge deal. Being able to feed the planet with all these cubes they can tear apart, figure out how they work, and then engineer this kind of food so there's no more hunger, which is a weird thing if you think about it. All the stuff we suffer in this world, and it's something simple like that. This race conquered aeons ago, and it's just simple four different pieces of food mashed together. All right, that's great. Anything else you want to add to that, or anyone else want to suggest for that too, or how you want to help or be a part of that?
Well, I definitely had some similar things in mind about codifying and writing down some things for future teams. Um, but I would actually write that down as regulations and rules,
Mm.
or basically laws for comporting yourself and handling certain situations, especially diplomatic type situations. Um,
Okay, like what? I'd love to hear some of this more of this.
Sure. Basically, laid out like most other exploration units in science fiction have a first contact protocol. Um, so I would definitely want to uh, uh, take in not only my own experience but first contact protocols for other units and organizations, and come up with a finely detailed protocol for contacting new species and new civilizations, and what is important to be able to keep in mind for whether what information we do give out versus what information we keep confidential. List of confidential areas that should not be spoken about, or also things that we have to exhibit and trade, things that we're looking for, a list, that kind of thing. But anything that requires sort of like a, let's say, a detailed lawyer's sort of look at it. He is very, very good at that. Uh, Starting off as a rules lawyer for games and then going on to being a real lawyer. Um,
Good question for you. I think one of the things that was a really important moment for me in the game was watching your character deal with killing someone
yeah,
for really the first time and accidentally blowing that guy's head off, who was, a bad guy, but and having Eric deal with that was really hard to watch, but amazing to watch because you have to kind of understand your character's feelings to think of something like that. Because some folks would like, hey, whatever, killed him,
Mhm.
but you took it to heart with Eric, and you made me feel bad for him. Like, oh man, I wish you wouldn't have killed that guy.
well, thanks,
Eric's got
because
to go into therapy now.
I have always found it, talking to people that have actually taken a life in self defense, that if you the regular, just regular people that ended up having to, takes a lot longer to process. But somebody that's been trained in the military but never have been put in that situation, there's a lot of things that go into it that affect people differently. So, but in any case, I based this character on my best friend who passed away a couple of years ago, and it was very easy for me to try to determine what the character would do, because I would really go, what do I think Paul would have gone through in that situation, and he always struck me as the kind of person that was fully willing to take a life if he had to in order to protect himself or his loved ones, but someone that would very much take it very seriously and who would bear the weight of that. Because I'm never having done it, speaking to people that have it, apparently you die a little inside every time something
Mhm.
like that happens. So
I,
yeah,
I believe that, and I think that was watching Eric go through that was a really interesting piece for ending of season one, and tragic, and watching you come through it, and Eric, but watching Eric grow as a person afterwards, and become more worried about the team, become more direct on how he wants procedures because he didn't want that to happen to anybody here.
right, right. Well,
Even
I
though,
wanted. that sort of like counterpoint towards most of the Monster of the Week type of shows or Star Trek original series where horrible things happen to people. I mean, life-changing things that cause their entire worldview to change, and the next episode we're fine, and trucking along. I always found that really funny in a lot of media. But Derek would definitely want to do that. But I think that the crazy thing about it is that to all the places that he's traveled, the place that he's felt the most comfortable and happy at is the cat planet.
Yeah.
I mean, look at it from his point of view. Here's a beautiful place. Humans suck, apparently, because every time we meet something human or humanoid, they were just assholes. There was just cats, and they were actually reasonable and to a certain extent kind. So and we were capable of communicating with them without having to go through Chewie. Although, mind you, I am 100% grateful that Chewie had that ability and made the game playable to be able to actually communicate with people.
We'll talk about them later on. I think we should definitely talk about that and why some races were the way they were. And I don't blame you guys for like, no, everyone's assholes. I'm like, yeah, I get that. Humans are assholes, and we can talk about it definitely down the road.
But that's definitely something that should be driven home to anybody else that's going to be doing this, is the fact that when Eric first started that, he had this excitement of exploration, right? He had this whole, I can't believe I've been granted this opportunity. It's fucking amazing. But then the reality hit of it, and the fact that that we were constantly reminded that everybody's going to always act in their own best interest, and that kind of discourse that requires understanding, kindness, and charity has to be something that you have to manufacture for yourself, because it is a natural state of anywhere that we've discovered. So it was sort of like I think a loss of innocence in Eric in a lot of ways, going out and experiencing that for real, and also the fact that everybody on this team is so horribly unequipped to really handle this whatsoever. Everybody did the best they could, and that's the thing. So was Eric, and Eric actually truly found a lot of affection for the people that he worked with, but he felt bad for everybody, including himself, because I mean, it's like starting a new job with no experience and just like, just figure it out,
Yeah, no, Mark.
and I know how that is professionally too, but it's not a comforting feeling. So
No.
The fact that reason made it, instead of feeling like an adventure to go on, it started becoming more of a chore that seemed more and more unattainable as I went along.
Yeah, and that was me bobbling that part of the story, and it shouldn't have been that. It should not have been that way.
Well, the thing is, I didn't feel that I felt like I wasn't making the right choices and I wasn't moving in the right direction, and it caused a lot of. But I think one of the things that I did learn is that I learned this from Leslie primarily, is you got to just fucking do things. A role-playing game is a game of action. It's a game of activity. It's a game of contributing. Eric, as a character, was extremely cautious. And for a lot of reasons, that's just sort of the way the character is. But I think that every time that Cassidy would literally just throw caution to the wind and just do something, that's when he actually moved forward and actually did something. And instead of going, I don't think that's a great idea. Mind you, it frustrated the crap out of Eric sometimes. But Jim was like going, this game would be completely stagnant if it wasn't for Leslie being able to go, fuck it, I'm taking whatever risk. And
I definitely followed Leslie's example.
And get her facing off all the time. Yeah, that was something that I go, if you want to see activity and you want to see change in a game, you have to actually go out and do things instead of just trying to play everything smart.
Yeah.
Press the button always.
Press the button.
I mean, you only have to lose your character's life, I guess. But
the red candy
really, always reward play a GM should always reward players who are willing or characters who are willing to like, this is what we're supposed to do. I'm going to press that button. Yeah, it's kind of hurt, but it may do something.
Yeah.
And
Thing
there's
is,
always that.
I think what it was is that we were playing the Cthulhu system, and that system in and of itself makes me intellectually and emotionally react differently.
Yeah, and
Because
that was a
with
bad
that
time.
game, I am already presupposed that I'm going to lose.
Yeah,
Because that's the way Cthulhu kind of works. I'm gonna lose. Let's just have fun doing it.
yeah, that was really a bad choice. And then I moved to an even worse idea for a system. But
But
I get it. I think that was great for her to be able to give you that inspiration.
yeah, but no, and I'm not really griping about the system at all. What all I'm saying is that uh, preconception is the barrier to all new experiences, right? And
Right.
that system comes loaded with a lot of preconception for me, and not even consciously, but subconsciously, simply because having played it so much before, I know what kind of emotional feedback I'm going to get from it. I
Mhm.
already sort of start preparing myself for that. And that, I think that I went through that process with this game somewhat unfairly because of that presupposition that I had subconsciously that already kind of put me in that direction. I wasn't from the get go trying to have a lighthearted, fun time. I was already sort of mired into this is going to be more of a there was going to be more duress in this storyline than there was going to be uh, anything else. So
Right.
it's my fault and my presupposition, which
Eh,
I try not to do.
that's okay. I mean, but that's a good way for her to look at it. Wanting to write regs and procedures to make certain people don't get sick and die, and all kinds of other things in the world. Because you guys found a lot of crazy shit. I mean, even your interactions with like the avian race and the simian race, those were great. Watching you guys do the diplomacy with the avians was a lot of fun. You
Yeah,
guys
I
did
was
a
having
wonderful
fun with
job
that,
with that.
but I had to agree with Chewie in the fact that everywhere everyone around that place seemed to
Oh,
be already agendas for what we need to do. So I was fully willing to let them forget about us for a while and then go back, find a mecha suit and bring it back. Because really, I was actually kind of excited about possibly finding a mecha suit.
we'll definitely talk about that in a little bit. I want to make sure we go through everyone's stuff, and then we'll answer all those great questions you have about stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
but that would be it. And as he starts getting older, and if this thing is still working, he would definitely seek out some kind of official command position within the organization, and probably go into that into his 50s and 60s at that point.
See, that's fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna do Leslie last
Okay.
because I want to make sure I process things I want to do for that. So, Jill, when it comes to Yuki, who's the newest member of the project and had to experience a lot of things quickly and kind of face plant her way all the way through all of this, um, how do you see the ending of this saga for Yuki, and where do you think they'd go? What do you think they do? Any questions they might have, we can probably answer for them.
I think, well, Yuki's kind of complicated because I feel like I never got a full grasp on her character.
Hmm.
But I'm thinking about what my favorite parts of the campaign were, and very early on, when we went to alternative 1940s Europe, and I really enjoyed that. So I feel like for Yuki, I'd love to see her continue to hang out in the fringe if possible and studying these alternative timelines and kind of making a compendium of what are the changes and try to map out what exactly happened just because it's fascinating to her. And while she's not very good at, diving headfirst into things, like Cassidy or running full speed like Chewie, I feel like for her that's the thing that she most like was focused on was looking at these little nuances of history and trying to learn something from it. Because if we don't learn history, we are doomed to repeat it.
I think Yuki would have a lot of fun on the Turkish platform, the Turkish
Mm.
world, because they had a long time to figure out what it was, and then when they got there, realized, oh God, we're in the 1400s. What are we going to do with this? And it was actually watching players go with that would have been great for Yuki. It's no guys, we're in the 1400s. This is what this is. That is.
Yeah.
But um, that's a great way to actually end that for Ryuki as well, is to kind of be that documentary person who's there to uh, who's there to help IDET understand cultures.
Hmm.
Because you can see the problems with interacting with these different cultures is taking time to get to know them. Yeah, you can't speak the languages like Chewie can, but um, you want to understand their history.
Yeah.
Like going and spending time with the Dunbar and the avian race and those folks, and you can understand what they are, because that whole planet's a whole other story. But that's a great way to handle that. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you.
So, so think about any of the questions you might have too, going into this. So, Leslie, Captain Cassidy Wagner. I know
She,
you mentioned, you mentioned to me briefly that that she never got to go to space and she wants to go to space so bad.
yeah, but I also feel like Cassidy is the stereotypical oldest daughter, in that if it's something needs to be done, she has to take care of it because that's her job. So at the same time, she also just wants to help people. Um, so she wants to go to space, but she also would probably be happy wandering around the fringe paths helping solve problems. Um, I know you talked about that Cassidy kind of did whatever, and I think I may not have been the best. I'll admit this is maybe not my best role playing ever. But backstory on who Cassidy was that never quite came out right is Cassidy was deployed in Afghanistan and Iraq. She was a cargo pilot. Um, she kind of, as an opposite to Eric, she wasn't necessarily fighting, but sometimes that cargo were unalived people, going back to where they can be transported back to the States. So she didn't, I don't know. Death is weird when you have PTSD. Um, so her whole thing was, well, we gotta do what we gotta do, so we're gonna do it. Um, which maybe never didn't always come out quite right, but that was what I was trying to do.
Oh, and I think that came out. You were trying to do the right thing, which is admirable. And I think for me, what I want to see for, because I remember we had this piece of the fringe path that were locked off that you guys couldn't figure out. Well, Cassidy is the curious one, and she'd be able to figure out the passage into the system, into the planetary systems in the star system. And so she would be able to figure that out because she's the one who had the key all the time and knew how to work, was not afraid to work machines, and she could break into that, get out to the system platform, actually go to Mars, go to the surface of Venus, go to the surface of Io, and see all this stuff in person. Not having to fly in space, kind of cheated. But even then, you go further out and you have the star system platform, which actually this is the Milky Way platform. There's a galaxy over there. There's a orbiting space station you can go to see all these things, and that's something that she would be love to figure out as well, since she never got to go to space. But you get to go to space in a different way. So I didn't want to tackle those initially because
They
you can get lost in those things real easily with this game. We can go out to Mars. All right, we can go roll around Mars. I mean, that's not going to solve anything, but you can get to go roll around Mars. Things like that. That's what I would see for her down the road too. Because again, being the curious one, or I put the key in and start pressing buttons because sometimes you got to press the button, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'll figure out how it works once I hit enough wrong buttons.
What were you saying, Jill?
Oh, nothing. I was just agreeing.
Okay. Well, those are all great, and for me, it's important that those characters get what they deserve because they've all been through a lot. So now I want to entertain questions. So I know you guys all have questions about all kinds of stuff. And so who wants to ask any questions about worlds, about people, about things, the cat world, um, the shattered world, 1949?
I don't know. There was something that came up when I was talking. I can't remember what was it. The Shattered World was so frustrating because it felt like it had so much going on in it, but everything seems slightly out of reach.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
Everything seemed a little bit too dangerous, right? Like
yeah,
the rat people, like that was interesting, but also it looked like a death trap, so we didn't go there.
213,
Yeah.
213 needs to see 12 and 14.
I did love that.
That seemed like a death trap. If you guys just pushed a little harder on that, and threatened them a bit more, they probably would have gave in and shown you all kinds of shit because Leslie was part of them. And I would never letting that take her over completely because that's not fun. But she really kicked it into high gear with that whole piece, and I appreciated that.
For the record, Cassidy didn't offer them the food. Chewie did.
no, I'm
There,
sorry, dude, but you got to understand from a military point of view, somebody whose consciousness has been compromised.
oh no, I get it.
Hmm.
You know, I was going, if putting you through the portal doesn't fix this, I'm not even sure if I'm willing to take you back to home base. Kind of thing. The security of 6 billion people on the other side of the gate versus one person that obviously has been compromised. I don't know those type of things. Eric took very seriously. And I don't know if everybody appreciates how seriously he did because if there was a situation where I thought that any one of you was a clear and present danger to the overall organization, I would have tried to end you pretty much, just
Here's the
straight.
thing, man. That's why the portals were created the way they were, to prevent things like disease and strangeness from getting onto the planets and acts of another world, because that would be a nightmare.
Yeah,
No one would have lived. No one would have lived because diseases would have gotten through, animals, crazy things would have gotten through. That giant crazy fungus you guys saw would have gotten through. That thing was really neat. I can talk about that later, but yeah, you're right. And it's nothing wrong with doing that. Once you figured out how to deal with that, you're back to the portal. Everything was fine, and that's a good thing. So I
and
think
also I thought the addition of Gerald was fantastic because you were very good at him being around when he could help us with something, and him conveniently not being around when you didn't want him to be helping us with something. And I thought that was a great use of a tool within the narrative.
Yeah.
Um,
I thank you. I appreciate that. I think every GM needs a voice in their game, in my estimation. You have to be able to not necessarily lead players along, but give them some information or be someone that they can trust because sometimes you don't have anyone they can trust. And I love having a little voice in campaigns. And I thought, well, if anyone can help them be a cat who can be there when they want to be, because it's a cat, and he'll wander around. It's like, no, I'm sleeping here. You guys can do what you want to do. I come back later when I'm done my nap and we'll talk. That I thought would be fun.
he napped a lot, but he napped a lot. But if he didn't want to go back to the cat people, I might have died trying to protect him because honestly, that's the kind of loyalty Eric has. If you're part of his unit and he feels that he's in command of people, he will stop at nothing to protect those people. Period. That's the kind of puppy. He's a golden retriever, really. He just wants to be a good boy.
One of the things that reminds me of is when he and Chewie were having their head-to-heads a bit, and that one night in the Turkish world where he went out to hunt while Chewie was sleeping and brought back a couple of rats and put the dead rats right next to Chewie's face while he was sleeping. And to say, thanks, buddy, I like you. You should learn to go hunt. As
Gerald.
I had a cat growing up that loved to be outside, and we let him be outside. He would always bring back mice and stick them under the welcome mat. So of course you're not paying attention. Step outside in the morning, it's a big squish.
Ooh.
He thought
Back
that was fun.
back in 1989, I had a cat called Captain Jack. Now this was way
That's a good
before
cat name.
Pirates of the Caribbean. His name was just Captain Jack. And one day he came to my back door and was completely messed up. But in front of him was a dead raccoon that apparently he had killed
Oh wow,
because he
wow.
offended the territory. But the thing is that his ear was sort of flapping out. It was not fully connected. I had to take him to the vet. He got messed up, but he ended up killing. He had killed the raccoon.
So there's a
I had
question
a
from the audience. I want to do. Okay, go ahead, Jill. I want to interrupt you.
That's Leslie.
um
Oh,
I was
Leslie,
just gonna talk about my cat that hunted worms and would bring them in the house, which was
hunted worms.
very pleasant to step on with no socks on.
Oh man, that's terrible. That's
I
terrible.
also one time caught Link eating a rat the same size as him.
Oh my.
No, Captain Jack showed up in our backyard. It was somebody else's cat. I think it was a stray. We tried finding a gopher, but couldn't. But we had a gopher problem in our backyard. Cabby Jack shows up a couple of days later. We did not have a gopher problem.
So one of the questions from the audience that comes up, and I think it's funny, and Rachel posted it: if your PC had to fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses, which one would they pick?
Horse-sized duck. No question. Because consider you can ride the horse-sized duck.
Not if he's angry at you.
Yeah, if he's
Well,
angry,
when
I
I
did Bob.
tame it.
See, but horses are prey animals,
Yeah,
and the only
horses are
reason they're
fragile.
alive is because they're afraid of everything.
That's
So
true.
if there was 100 duck-sized horses, all you'd have to go is go oogity boogity, and they'd all run away. And have a
Leslie,
pinwheel. And have a pinwheel. They fucking
Yeah.
hate pinwheels.
Leslie's on it. Like horses are super fragile. I would take the 100
Yeah.
horses easy.
Well, it depends on your point of view. Do you want to win, or do you want to get some kind of physical gain?
I'm just saying I could have a horse-sized duck.
I don't know. Knowing ducks, I'd be afraid of a horse-sized duck.
Yeah,
Man,
ducks
at
can be
least- at
jerks,
least-
especially if they're mallard ducks. Male mallard ducks are assholes.
Mhm.
Now, I mean, to add to that, I mean, what was a horse-sized goose?
Oh yeah, no way, no.
No goose.
No
No.
goose.
Yeah,
No, they're assholes. Universally, they're horrible.
All of the hatred and anger in Canada is channeled into the gooses. That's why Canadians are always so nice, because the Canadian goose absorbs all negative energy from Canadians and it just
Oh.
concentrates it in one place.
that
Can't
that
be good
explains why
because you
they
might have too much of Letterkenny.
that explains why they fly so low over my complex and scream at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Aha, that explains everything. I don't want to hate them because they're so pretty, but damn. Let's see, what are the horses? They're pretty fragile. Yeah, okay, that's a good point. Fragile little horses, but it'd be a little horse.
I'm
You
just
can
thinking
keep
of
those,
all
don't
the
fight them,
horse
just keep 'em.
sashimi
Yeah, like if
that-
you could catch them and contain them, then little
Real-
tiny horses worth so much money.
Real life grand champions.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
If you could sell cat size or medium dog size horses, people would buy that like crazy.
Yeah.
Little baby, the miniature cows that people are buying nowadays.
Yeah, imagine a lap horse.
Yeah, I'm down.
Such a pretty boy, yes, with the mane.
I like how you guys went that direction, and I was like, "Oh, tiny horses, horse sashimi, delicious." There are two types of.
No, that's funny. Somebody did like a cow Highlander thing, and they're talking about the Highlander, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Cow Highlander? Just tie him down. That's unlimited ribeyes. They're like, Jim, that's dark. Nothing, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Growing up around cattle like I did, most folks don't understand how dumb they actually are because they're herd animals. When I took Shauna to our family's ranch the first time and she got to see cows in person, she was standing at the fence like, here cow, come here cow. And like the cow's not gonna talk to you. The cow's just staring at her like,
Yeah, what the fuck, lady?
because you're a threat. I'm not going over there. I know these people. They pull me in the thing and they stab me with needles. I don't want to talk to you.
Shauna and my mom would get along because when my parents started dating, my dad was a country boy and my mom was from Philly. So they drove out to the countryside and rolled down the windows, and my mom had to moo at every single cow and baa at every single sheep.
No, nothing wrong with that. There are two types of people in this world: those who say, "Oh, horsies," and those who say, "What?" When you're in the car. And I used to be the
I
horse
point
person,
out
and now
everything. I
I'm-
point out the ponies,
Oh,
the
yeah.
sheep, the goats, the bison.
Bison.
We're driving into the deep desert to go to work on some machines in this factory, and we're driving by, and there's this big old some kind of workhorse. Wasn't really a thin guy, but he was peeing as we were driving by. And there's this like huge stream, and like going, "Mr. Cowboy, your horse is leaking."
Your greasy leaking. Oh, that's funny. So
Um,
again, questions about things in the game you saw or didn't get to finish on, or didn't quite understand, or wished
the
I'd have been a jerk about it.
the gem console in the Aboriginal Australian.
Yeah, the Aboriginal Australian thing, like, there's a lot of questions there.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Zombies.
Ask away.
it's like what the fuck were the zombies, yo?
Yeah.
And why were they apparently immune? It was just white guys getting infected with
Yeah,
it.
it was a jab at colonialism, but when I had designed it, it was the okay. The colonials come to Australia, which is basically a self-contained environment, unlike a lot of other places. But it really is its own place. And so when they come, they brought their own sicknesses, like they did the Native Americans in North America. Well, they did the same thing to the Aboriginals when they came to Australia. In this case, they brought a disease that affected them and not the Aboriginals. So for me, that
Mm.
was that was a funny idea. How do I make that work? Okay, it turns them into 28 days later zombies, and they've been killing each other, and realize that we can eat those. Those things are great, and they chase them back to Ayers Rock or Uluru, where there was, of course, a safe place for them to be. But that console, I have a diagram somewhere that I designed for it. Hang on a second. Let me have it.
You know, we like broke a crystal off of that or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he broke a crystal off it, which is great. He's like, I'll just fiddle with it. And Cassidy, shocked.
And
And
that upset
Cassidy
Eric
and Joe got
so
shocked.
deeply.
We got it fixed something or give you some more power for temporarily, just damage the thing. And because you picked the right gem off. Like I said, I had a list of little diagram I designed in Excel for what color went where, and you guys pulled the right green panel off. So it would give a temporary energy boost to what was left of the shield. But if you pulled a red one off, wouldn't have been so good. Pulled a yellow one off, it'd been really bad. But you guys were good at guessing.
Just again, they're just flying blind, just fucking turning knobs on shit. I don't even know what it does.
That's life at Fringeworthy, I swear.
Oh my
But
That's
I,
the
god!
best way to do it.
hey, but I love that
Chaos.
you guys plugged the volcano burrito in there without fear and begin setting zombies on fire. And having you guys
Well,
realize, oh,
I,
let's set them on fire. That can be good,
Zombie
right?
killer, man.
in our defense, we didn't necessarily know that every color did a different thing.
Yeah.
No, and I wanted you guys to find that out, and that was great. That was a great way to do it, actually,
I
because it
assumed that
changed
that
the
was the
color of the
case.
shield.
Why create a differentiator between two controls if they don't do separate things?
Because
It's
it's
like
pretty
having
to
a
have a
keyboard with both
rainbow of
keys.
things.
Rainbows are nice.
Speaking of the volcano burrito, if you guys had actually put any kind of power cable or power source near it, it would immediately latch onto it and would have powered it. But you guys tucked it away in Cassidy's pocket. It didn't touch anything power related. You bring it back to the scientists, and they're like, put it in a safe room and so they have to poke it. They're
Yeah, but
not
that
putting it
goes into
anywhere near
another
power.
situation, Mike, where even if the science says, I don't know, we think maybe it might be a power source. That would have led us into that path of trying to like link it up to something or something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
But
I could have
it
given
was
you guys
just a
more information.
burrito, man.
At one point, I was coming up with what the burrito acronym stood for. I never did
I
decide on the
saw I
regular one.
saw those. They just didn't really settle out. But yeah, they were meant to be like a ZPE in how they were designed. Oop, hang on a second. I didn't mean to touch that. All right. So yeah, those were fun to design, and the Uluru Rock one was interesting with the zombies. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that, or at least were concerned by it.
Hmm.
What other things kind of stood out that you want to know more about?
Actually, it felt really good to have that problem, and then we actually had a solution for it.
Yep.
I mean, and the crazy trip that Chewie took out wrecking that freaking car as he was going.
Oh yeah, that was quite
It was
great.
just fun to watch. It was really fun. Uh, but I felt so great that like shit, these guys are fucked. That their barriers down. But oh wait, we might have a solution. The fact that we might have been able to fix the problem, and also the fact that we did actually fix the problem, but still did not garner any favor, any positive energy from the people that were in that situation because it now burnt the zombies. I thought that was just good story right there.
Yeah,
I
and
really
you guys scared the hell out of those people, but they were less afraid of you than they were of the zombies. So it was, okay, these guys are actually helping us. They're using crazy weapons, and they're probably from some kind of weird future. They're weird colonials, but they're not bad people. All right, so let them do what they want to do. Which, they weren't bad people. They weren't selfish people. They were just trying to stay alive.
Actually, those people seem straightforward and kind. And the fact that they're willing to at least talk to us instead of just immediately going, "Oh," was heartening.
When you guys didn't explore platform two, in the alternates, there was a group of people I designed, the tattooed people, and every story they told, I told themselves was tattooed onto their arms and chest. And they had gone through the portals at one point, and they had tried to colonize one of the alternate worlds next to them, and those people got locked off and never can get back. And the folks they had no one on their world who was fringeworthy. They lost the society. You guys walk into one, you could reunite people and meet this wonderful friendly race and actually build a good relationship with them. But unfortunately, there are a couple of the portals you missed, and felt really sad about that because I love the way they were designed. I think you guys would love that, and they would have made great allies.
Hmm.
So there were things out there like that. Um, the monolith uh, platform that you guys hated.
Dude,
Because
you electrocute me just because I'm walking? Fuck you! I'm not going. No, seriously, you can try to hurt me real bad for if I'm trying to like stick my hand in a hole and I don't know what that's on the other side. Great, okay, that's fine. No, I'm literally just taking a couple of steps, and I got half my hit points put away. Well, I don't like this place. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
and that's not an unfair decision. What was on that world? If you took the car that you found on the racetrack and got it out there, you were able to travel around, repower that thing, and actually take some of the power out of that roadway, which is built. That's why it was black. And the roadway that you guys at the racetrack was silver with black in it. Black being the power level, which I couldn't find a good way to express that to you guys. But I did it by the raceway. You could walk on it under problem, but the other one was the exact opposite setup, and you couldn't step on it. But if you got the car there, it would have eaten up some of the power and you're able to walk on the track. Out there were fields of that green wheat that, if you fiddle with, makes a good food source,
Mm.
or the food machine. Also, I think on that world was the "This way eats" sign.
Yeah, I want to know about the sign.
Yeah,
That actually led down a long road to a shack that said "Orgos Eats" and a hand painted sign on top of it. You can smell when you get closer. You can smell meat cooking, and when you go inside, it's just one guy there, one grumpy looking old man. Yeah, what do you want? All right, I got this and this today, and he feeds you, and he'd ask for payment, or you do trade, and you pay back in these rusted old coins from a different world. Oh well, here's your change. For what? I don't know. But it was just a simple way to go to get food and meet somebody in that world to tell you a bit more about how the people there died off and whatnot, and why he's the only one left.
Hmm.
yeah. That sounded like zombie cannibals chainsaw massacre.
Yeah.
I never thought you guys would see it that way, and so I was like, but
Cassidy
oh,
wanted to go.
oh man, I never thought of that. See,
Yeah,
and that's
Cassidy was very food motivated. I'm just saying.
Hey, Cassidy knows what she likes, so.
Yeah, that's great. I have no problem loving what they love.
so yeah, and that was like one of the situations I had with this was thinking this would go well, and you guys having a whole different perspective, and that's always a killer role playing games is
Hmm.
no matter what you expect your players to do, they will do something opposite, and I wasn't prepared for that most of the time. I was able to improv there, but that was like, oh, they're gonna miss a great support character. Bummer, I screwed that up.
I think that at that point we were just uh, shell shocked by the rest of the games.
Yeah.
That point, it's like why are we going to go investigate that? It's going to try to kill us. Everything's going to try to kill us.
I I think it was the flaming portal that did all that in, and that's what set Chewie off, and that place is a no-go at that point. And I regret actually leaving this kind of damaged portals in the game because I think it was a bad choice on my part. So but it may have changed everything. But you guys went back there into the dark room and actually found the machine that powered um, to recharge the burrito that you had. That was like one of the two important places. There was another one that was a a weather control temple that actually could have actually changed the weather on that world with machinery you could have figured out and easily brought home. Because the same controls there were the same controls that were in Antarctica. And
Mhm.
once you figured it out with the breeder, you can go about there and say, I've seen that machinery back there. Holy shit, go back home, boom, and fix the weather problem at home. But unfortunately, you guys didn't. My actions with that portal kept you guys from investigating it, and that was a mistake. So,
I wanted to find out more about steam cars.
oh, that world. Oh my
Mm.
gosh, yes. The alien invasion. You guys thought it was Alien Invasion 66. Actually, it's a story about an African nation that had an alien invasion at one point in the early 1900s. Um, aliens assimilated and they worked together, and all of a sudden, this nation began to control the world over time, recolonize Earth in reverse is what we're used to. And that ship was actually an alien ship that was working with the African nations that were running the world. And it was parked over Los Angeles to make certain nothing stupid happened there because they had rebels. You were going to meet the rebels and deal with some there and get to capture some of that alien technology. And the steampunk thing was just one of those add-ons. Like, well, yeah, they wouldn't be able to actually handle machinery that well, so steam machinery was all they'd probably be able to have. Like, okay, sure, steam trains instead of cars, and that's kind of where that came from. That's what the paper said. Invasion is that they were invaded by these people, and Los Angeles was run by them. Not necessarily aliens themselves, but this other nation who had their technology.
Why'd you put giant worms in my country?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
why did we have Tremors?
um,
We
because
just
it was
needed an ode to Kevin Bacon.
because it was fun. And that first episode was absolutely terrifying. Look on everyone's face was beautiful. As you guys go out into that desert. Oh, you found the truck. And the worm jumps out and chases you guys. And it was great way to end the first adventure. Everyone's like, "Oh, we're gonna die. Great, we'll see you all next week." And um, I had thought about that for that portal. It's like it's almost in that desert. There, I should put a monster there that kind of makes sense. So how about a lizard or a dinosaur that actually survived? It's a prehistoric thing, and the folks out there hunt it for sport and for food. But you guys weren't prepared for that. But and then to have that portal not work, which was even better. Like, oh, that portal doesn't even work properly. Well, this will be fun. I'm not going to have it do a 45-minute wait. 15 minutes is just fine.
Mhm.
That's enough to scare the hell out of them. And I think it worked, and I think you guys had fun with that. So, yeah, but I put that there because I thought it'd be fun. Like anything else. The 49 world was a joy to make, actually, much more than I thought it would be. And you guys just made it even better by going through and making contacts with the British, meeting their version of unit, dealing with going to the King of France's ball. That was awesome.
That was fun.
We're gonna go there anyway, and we can't take the plane there, and we're gonna take the portal, and oh my God, he's a monster. And I enjoyed the fact you guys took that so well while Eric was gone.
I actually think Eric would also want to look out for our counterparts from another dimension. Remember, we met other IDET people.
Hmm.
Once we resolved our issue, to see if we can help them resolve theirs. Because honestly, it just felt like we were in a bad situation together, but we were generally compatible.
Hmm.
Yep, and I think that's one of the things that wasn't really discussed in the original game was meeting alternates of yourselves. And I think that was actually a fun idea, at least to meet an alternate of someone you know and realizing, oh, there may be others like us out there. Well, yeah, if you think about it, you all are fringeworthy for a reason. Why wouldn't your doppelgangers in another world be fringeworthy? So technically, like I said, this is a world that's like our 2008. It's not our world. So our world's out there too. So that was the idea is that you guys can meet yourselves from this world for all that matters.
Hmm.
Right.
If we got around to it, if you guys were going the other way, we did another season, maybe we could do something like that. But
Yeah.
uh yeah. So yeah, like I said, the 49 world was a pleasure to make and fun, and I'm watching you guys fiddle with Sydney was great, and deal with all that. It's also entertaining. And then they almost kidnapping, and assuming chase that followed and the fight that followed. That was great stuff to watch you guys do it.
I I think I like 1949 World the best because I think it was the one where we had the most, we kind of knew what we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily want to say it's the one we had the most direction, but it was kind of the one where it's like, oh, this we need to do this.
That was actually very emotionally taxing for Eric because he loves America. He is a patriot through and through. And to see an America like that was so rubbing him the wrong fucking way. He wanted to burn that motherfucker down. He was
Yeah,
far more willing to just shoot people. Remember when he tried to when he was knocked out the cop in the car, just kept punching him. He was just letting out some shit.
yeah, yeah, and that's totally understandable. I mean, making the United States the villain was, let's face it, we're a villain in many ways. But making them a covert, an overt villain there was actually kind of interesting. And
Yeah.
when I was rolling that whole thing up and designing it, it mentioned a large nation that was a dictatorship. I'm like, well, we've done all the dictatorships. What about the U.S.? We can definitely do that. All right, 1949. How would that work? And that took a lot of work, as um, Jill found out. There's a lot to that history. Okay,
It's a whole thing.
how do I f the Earth up, and how do I stop World War II from happening? Well, to do that to stop World War One from it. Well, how the hell do I do that? There's a process to creating alternate histories too that I could talk about for hours. But that's what designing this is always fun for things like that. And watching you guys peel it apart and actually enjoy fiddling with that world a bit more. I mean, you didn't actually go to the portal in China all but once, but there's huge, massive rice fields, and it's a way to actually deal with the Chinese who actually had some technology that would have probably helped too,
Hmm.
because they were far more advanced than people thought they were. So there's that, and the time traveling newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
I
so
love
like
upset.
I love the pocket stop worlds and what they do, and that was one of the things that I encountered when I first played the game 30 years ago. Our GM had one of those shit like and it changed how we altered things. We fixed this world because we keep filling with the paper and it keeps getting worse. And you was a villain that kept getting worse, then it got better because you did the right things, and that's great. And it wasn't a matter of me deciding in advance what was right or what was wrong. It was going on what you guys wanted to do. And I will admit, I have a lot of notes for this game, but a lot of what I was doing was playing off of you guys as much as I possibly could. So I think any good game should be more about handling and improving what the players want and going
Hmm.
with that way and changing what my plans are as much as I can to meet that desire. Because if otherwise you're on a railroad track, and I don't want that for anybody.
Yeah. It's good. It's storytelling, but it's cooperative storytelling. And
Yeah, and I think and
it-
I didn't do it enough. I think in some ways, and so that's a good lesson for me to learn for this kind of campaign.
I I really liked the newspaper.
yeah, so did I thought it was cool.
It made me mad, but I liked it.
You know what? It seemed kind of Doctor Who-y to me, which is why I think I liked it so
Hmm.
much.
It kind of reminded me of that episode of Doctor Who, the David Tennant one, where they're on the DVD and like having a
Oh,
conversation with the
the
person
first Angels
watching
episode,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was really cool. And actually, that might make a great story to run later on, not for this kind of setting, but any kind of setting. I think that's great. That's a great thing to do. Have a group of people with that kind of paper, and how do we change what's going on? Hey, it's newspaper for next week. In fact, there was a TV show, if I remember correctly, in the early '90s called First Edition.
Yeah, he had a cat.
Hmm.
That actually the guy with the paper every morning and would tell them what's going to happen tomorrow,
Oh
and
yeah.
he would do his best to try and change things that were bad. Great concept.
Kind
At
kind of like
television in the
Quantum
'90s.
kind of like Quantum Leap, but
Yes,
I love Quantum
I
Leap.
think done right, that'd make a great fun setting to run for a game or two. Watch people like, oh, we fixed it. Oh no, we didn't. So, what are the things that you guys want to know about? We talked about Cat Island, yes. Um,
Were there any actual living things on Apple World besides the spider dogs, or was it all just the robots?
it was the spider dogs, the robots, and the giant fruit bat.
Okay.
The apples there, you're gonna love this. Were magnetic. Not in a bad way. They were just it's what everything kept everything fresh in that world, so nothing ever spoiled.
Hmm.
Those devices were causing everything to be a little bit magnetic, and so it formed a little shield around them, so they never got spoiled. So apples fall on the ground, and they just sit there until you cut them open. Just magnetic enough. And so if you guys took them off the planet, they become normal apples. But they were all fantastic. So you have millions of apples to take, and they were just growing left and right. So,
Fuck the apples, dude. What was up with the guy? The bent over dude.
Oh yeah.
oh,
I don't give a shit about an apple. What's up with the dead body?
you had part of that story was an idea that I had, and just kind of it was a throwaway idea. But the French pilots have found that place, and were taking some of the apples, and they got in a fight, and one of them shot the other one, who fell on the ground, dead. However, the preservation nature of what was going on there preserved that body, and so he was just seconds after death, and so he never really died. He just got stiff and rigor mortis and laid there until you guys found him. He'd been there for 3 years.
Wow. Okay, that makes sense. I just wanted to know if were people fighting over this or what was going on.
No, I French pirates are being French pirates, and if you had taken time to autopsy the body or poke it a bit more, you realize he's been dead for 3 years. What the hell?
Mm.
We gave him a burial at space.
Yes.
Fringeworthy.
Now an entire
Space burial.
planet that's basically a fridge.
Boom. But yeah, that was just one of those worlds. But again, more food and more processing things you can take back. Oh, here's a magnetic device. We're not sure how it works, but it can preserve food. So, and again, I was trying to work. I had an idea and let you guys. How I'm gonna take this. I don't know. Find a way to take it and let you guys have whatever you do. Like the volcano burrito, same deal. Press a bunch of buttons. You got this. It'll shoot out. How do I get another one? Well, let's make another one for 45 days. That was more a response to what you guys were doing with it. And excuse me, I'm losing my voice. So there's that. So Dead Guy in Orchard was just was literally preserved. A pickled human.
So what happened to the fringeworthy guy we found from Great Britain in the 1940s?
I can. He was designed just to be another person to get to know who's Fringeworthy, and I'll explain the reason behind that. The reason he was Fringeworthy, and one of the reasons why you become Fringeworthy, one of the throwaway notes from the game itself, is that the longer you spend near a portal, the more your system acclimatizes to being near it, and it'll actually make you Fringeworthy. Every day for 3 years, he sat there and ate his lunch at that bench, within 100 feet of that portal, and so of course it eventually fed into him to become a Fringeworthy and didn't even know it. So they met you guys.
This makes sense that the researcher in the bird
a goofy historian who wasn't good at what he was doing. The Secret Service there. So he wasn't meant to be a throwaway character, just someone interesting, and kind of eventually figure out later on why people were Fringeworthy as we sit and talk to him and get to know things like that. Because a couple more characters you met who were Fringeworthy also were because they were near that portal. Why do you think Gerald was Fringeworthy? He spent a year around that.
Right next to the portal, yeah.
Yep. And he'd only heard stories about it, but his people never were there, never went through it. He only heard stories about it, and he was being catty, and quiet about things about that because he didn't want to, one, scare you guys away, and two, scare a food source, and three, scare were the only friends he actually ever had. And so that's why he's vague about everything. Because I think we've all been there with friends before. You don't tell them your entire story so you don't scare them off. Well, that was
you can't let them know how weird you are until they're already convinced.
No, and he was a fun NPC to run because, as much as like any cat, I guess, he loved who he was friends with because you're his family. But he was a cat, and so he had certain parameters. Like I cannot be too affectionate. I have to be standoffish. They have to do all the work for me, but I will pitch in and be family if I need to be. You know, not that my little terror here doesn't do that.
It was just, it just dawned on Eric that when he got to the world, is like even transdimensionally, cats are just cats.
Oh yeah, just like humans are human.
Yeah.
And I think in the case of that world, when cats had evolved to where they were telepathic and had a better society, in my opinion, they'd be better people because they're more community minded than humans are in many ways. They're more social than humans are. Humans have people who are social but aren't social. And cats have to be social by how they're designed. And so they would be a bit more evolved than humans and would be standoffish, but they realized that you had befriended one of their own. Well, that's interesting. You came through the place where the ancients came from. Okay, we'll give them a chance. If they're problematic, we can telepathically blast them into oblivion. But let's just find out what they're about. Because cats again are also curious.
Yeah.
Can't get rid of that out of somebody. So that's why the way they were, and they wanted to help you because you seemed genuine, even though you were friends with the person who was a traitor to them. They knew that you were relatively harmless to who they were, and they could trust you. So that was a fun thing to play with you guys too. And I had named every cat after every cat I had ever owned or a friend had owned. So every interact with like Magnus was a friend's cat. Yeah.
Honestly,
Frederick,
dude, at his way, he'd retire there.
Frederick was my cat from 15, 16 years ago.
Mm.
Miss him. Uh, that was the first cat who found me, and I I was his human, and that was that.
Oh, the cat distribution system working
Mhm.
as intended.
No, he literally Fred just showed up on my patio door one day. I'm walking by, and there's a cat, a gray cat, sitting there looking at me like, "Hey, let me in." Who the hell are you? Where'd you come from? Whatever. And I walked off. Came back 2 minutes later. He's still sitting there, waiting for something. I opened the door. He ran back, and he just wanted to sit there and meow at me. Okay, we became friends. I fed him. World was over. I had a cat, but
Yep.
he was he was the one who looked after me for quite a while when I lived in that place with my ex, and made sure I was okay every single day. He didn't sleep with me. He would come by and check up on me, tap me in the face and say, "What are you doing? Get up off the computer and go to bed." Things like that. But yeah, so a lot of those cat characters came from my own personal past and with friends' cats as well. And Gerald, well, is based on my current cat, only nicer. Let's face it, Jack Jack is much like his namesake in The Incredibles.
Oh no,
Yeah, he just has we joke about it. He doesn't have ADD. He has HD ADD, high
Mm.
definition attention deficit disorder. So when he's on in bright, vivid colors. Hopefully not red. So yeah, there you have it. Any other questions or thoughts about? Shattered World. I didn't get a chance to explain that.
Yeah.
So that world was something I toyed with for a long time, even as a campaign setting for a different game. And much like Jim and Bob had mentioned, it was related a lot to the world of Thunder the Barbarian.
Oh,
So,
dude, if
a
there were mocks and I didn't get to meet them, I'm gonna be very upset.
yeah.
1,000 years prior, a comet passed between the moon and the Earth, ripping them both to shreds, caused the Earth to fracture. But the energy from that the Termellar had left on that world, these devices, held the planet together so it come apart and kind of fell apart, but it was still holding itself together. And the humans had died off about tens of thousands of years ago, and the other races had uh, come up from there. And so, yeah, there were Mox, there were like lion people, and they were a whole thing, but there were humans left. So
Dude,
it had been a fun D&D kind of adventure world eventually.
Mm.
I'm telling you, man, if I would have met Ariel, Eric could have been all, "Hey, baby, what's up?"
I saw someone had designed a fake trailer for a Thundar movie, and like, oh man, that'd be great. Wish Hollywood would get their head out of their ass. That's a great setting.
It is.
They reboot or reimagine everything else, and I still don't got a goddamn Thundar movie.
I know. What the hell, right? And
Dude,
folks
they'll
today who haven't
redo the
seen it,
Herculoid before they do
ah,
before they do.
don't say things
Sure.
like that. And for I don't know if Leslie and Jill have ever seen that show, but it's probably one of the classic '80s cartoons of this post-apocalyptic world 10,000 years in the future that has got magic, technology, all this leftover stuff from thousands of years ago, and it's amazing. Yes, you have a barbarian hero. His his sorceress companion, and this giant horse lion guy who doesn't speak. He's like Chewbacca.
Mm.
He shouts at things, smashes them, knocks them over.
The
Ukla's
cool
a
thing
great
is
prince.
that the sorceress chick was very intelligent, obviously knew, had an insight into all the prehistory of technology and stuff like that, because she was always in the know. But Thundar always came up off as kind of like this ignorant child next to her all the time. And sometimes she'd even like going, "Why isn't he hitting on me?" And he's like, "Duh, because I'm Derp Day." God, that
But
show was
definitely a stereotypical barbarian too.
yeah,
What? What? You're hurting people? I will kill every single person in this room. You're a sorcerer? I will kill you now. There was no waiting,
yeah.
no control whatsoever, no self-control. But again, for those who know D&D and the Sun Sword, that's where that comes from. That's where
That
that
is
comes
pretty
from.
so.
The Sun Sword
I had
from
a
D&D, D&D 5e, that's where that comes from.
I had a character built around that sun sword.
Ah, yes, I remember those days.
And a sunstar was basically supposed to be a poor man's lightsaber.
Oh
So
yeah, it was a pastiche of all of the movies that were popular at the time. It was part
yeah,
Conan, part Star Wars, part Mad Max. Yeah.
It
yeah,
hit every single thing, right?
And I mean, and it was also all designed by Jack Kirby, so it was amazing.
yeah,
And
dude.
of all
When
things, we have no movie.
Yeah.
We need a
we
role-playing
go
game, is what
back
we
to
need.
Uklaw's village that's on the aircraft carrier, and
Yeah. Or the the
oh,
the
oh
monkey
god,
pe the monkey people who created the giant robot King Kong from the
yeah,
movie. It was supposed to be a movie prop.
So yeah, there's a lot that gave me the idea for that world, and so it was in pieces, and I had every kind of piece designed. And there was like the one I think you guys saw was a road off in the city in the distance. Well, that was Johannesburg, South Africa, just buried in thousands of years of dirt. And the sign actually, if you got to it, there was not too far down that road, there was a sign that said it was supposed to be part of a large thing that said "Welcome to Johannesburg," but all the, of course, the letters have faded off over 10,000 years. And so I had it written down what it actually said, so you guys can try and piece it together if you wanted to. But it's one of those big, giant, broad signs that actually is only like 5 feet up from the ground now.
Mhm.
Was 40 feet in the air, 50 feet in the air. But that was one of the pieces you guys didn't get to see. But the energy that held that planet together was what the Terramelon were using to control weather on other planets, and use. That's why I was able to charge the battery for you, things like that. And there was a weather station on that world, um, the observatory, which I think you guys remember the observatory you're in or not. If you'd have plugged the ZPA into that thing, you'd be able to see the moon. You'd be able to actually it'll give you the information on the comet that went by and tracking it, so you can see the old pictures of what it was, what it did. They're observing it, and you would see that the comet is on its way back, and
Uh-oh.
it's gonna hit that world in 20 years.
Oh shit.
And what could you guys do to help them, or would you want to try and save them, or how would you handle that? A little ethical question. How do you find the Fringeworthy on that planet to get them off there? What do you do? Can you stop that thing? I had some ideas based around if you guys wanted to tackle that. And that's a whole of a campaign in itself, I guess. But um, that was a fun sit down and design on a Saturday. Because that thing, it just once it started going, it just wrote itself. Oh yeah, giant monkeys. Oh yeah, giant bird people. No one does that. Because Flash Gordon's playing in the background.
grab something to
Of
drink. I'll be
course,
right
I
back.
wrote that in there. And again, for those who've never seen the 1980 Flash Gordon movie, shame on you. Go watch it. Queen did the soundtrack. It's an amazing movie. Okay, I know I've talked a lot, and Jill and Leslie have not talked a lot. So I want to make sure to include you guys in this discussion and ask some more questions. Please ask questions no matter how dumb they may seem about the game. I know you have plenty of them.
What is Gerald's endgame? Because we talked about everybody else's, but
Ah,
what's
a
Gerald
good
gonna
point.
do?
For Gerald, he loves you guys very much. You're his family. And for cats, it's hard to leave them. You just can't leave family. But as with all things for humans, you all have your own path to take, and eventually, family kind of goes its own ways. So that would actually be very hard for him. So he probably spent a lot of time with Chewie, because Chewie's at base, working on this book, and of course, giving his 2 cents in, which is worth 2 cents usually.
Chewie can also talk to him, so
Yeah, he can use his voice with Chewie,
Yeah.
which he's gotten used to. And working with he and Eric consistently to do that kind of stuff would make him happy because it's a family. and hoping that Cassidy and Yuki would visit periodically. So at least for him, he found a family to be with. And yeah, they're all annoying because they're humans, but it could be a lot worse. Yes, Chewie still can't hunt, and I'll help him with that. But he does provide good tuna in bags. So I guess if he hunts bags, that's not a bad thing.
Drew's really good at hunting bags.
He he was really helpful when I needed to practice first aid.
Oh, he hated that so much. Um, I like to joke with my cat that he sit there and meow. There's a hole in his dish. Like, okay, you want me to hunt for food? And I pick it up and I set it on the counter and walk away. Where are you going? He followed me around, come back in the kitchen, shake it up, put it on the floor. Look, I found it. He'd be happy to eat his food like I had hunted. The trick with cats is that when you go out, you don't come back with anything, they get upset because you're obviously a bad hunter.
Yeah.
If you bring something back with you that wasn't with your hands when you left, they think you hunted. So I would go grocery shopping regularly when I was home, so I could see, look what I brought home, and he'd look at me like, "Oh, you're all right. You're weird. Whatever. You brought a package home. That's good. You hunted." He loves the Amazon guy because he's been at the door when I've opened it, and he Hunter, look at his face, hands me a package. Look and see, you didn't hunt that. The look of disappointment on his face. He's not dumb. He plays it being dumb, but he's not dumb. What cat is, right? No, but for Gerald, I think it's a matter of having a new family and trying to spend time with Chewie, who's really been a friend to him, Eric, who's been a friend to him, and since they're working at base more, he can stay there. And if Cassidy and Yuki go out and doing things, well, he knows they'll come back eventually. Or if he really wants to, he can hijack a vehicle and get someone to take him there.
Mm-hmm.
I
But
just see rolling up just Gerald in like a Jeep by himself.
I don't know how he could do that, but well, that's the thing too, is that his psychic powers were growing over time, and he had telekinesis on the sheet, and like, but it's like totally useless. I've done some XP into that for him. So now he can move tiny things. He can pick up a rifle and turn it inside and pull the trigger with his paw. He saw you guys do it. Unfortunately, that's not how that works for a cat. Two shots off, boom, gun's gone.
Oops.
Yeah, I was to say I don't know that Gerald could handle the kickback on that.
You know what? If anyone saw a cat with an AR-15 and the cat managed to pull the trigger, I'd be scared and run too, no matter what. Yeah, the gun goes flying, but you know what? He could have hit me with. He's got more guns over there. You know, we'll go ahead and call this a wash. We're out. That's just me. I mean, anything you guys think you would need to do or should do?
We really gotta, you really shouldn't be eating just fish. It's not good.
Yeah, well,
Balanced breakfast.
he was off eating things when you guys were on different planets. I mean, he ate a lot of rats and other things when you guys on the 1402 world. He spent his time hunting and bring things back and store them in the truck without telling Chewie.
Mm-hmm.
I think if any other Fringeworthy teams come back with little side characters or mascots or whatever, Gerald should be the one in charge of training them.
We don't need a pet Avengers, I don't think. We found this space of Fringeworthy hamsters. God, that's all we need. What do they do? Oh, they kind of just eat and laugh at things. We don't need them. The original book had lots of interesting Saurian creatures. In fact, the Saurians that I referenced on the Shattered World, yeah, they were pretty much Sleestack. At that point, they were the most evolved of all the races, and they had figured out a lot of the terminal and technology. That was where their portal was. They couldn't go through the portal, but they understood how things worked around it.
Where did that monster lady from Greece come from?
Um, she was just a normal person on that planet, and who was Fringeworthy, and walked through that portal, walked into that pocket stop, found that headband, put it on, and of course she's weak-minded, so it totally controlled the hell out of her and fed upon her insecurities and anger. So of course she took that power, went back home, and wreaked havoc with it. And y'all were right to lock that thing up and put it away.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to eat
Rusty.
Lady Platinum's mind rather quickly because she became addicted to it. It gave her power. And Chewie was dead on. Dead on 100%. This thing is bad. Put it away. So yeah, that was actually really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That whole story was great and interesting to watch. And thinking back on it, um, y'all handled that like I expected you to. She's a problem. Let's go back and kill her. And you not only killed her, you set her on fire and stamped on her. I think that was while it set Chewie's feet on fire, it was still awesome. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna jump up and down on the burning body. You probably shouldn't. You know what? I'm not gonna tell you what to do. Uh, Chewie, your feet are on fire. What? Yeah, she got what you deserve. And the sad thing was you locked off the portal just in case. Lock off that portal. Screw those people. Even though the damage was done and you guys fixed the damage by getting rid of her.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that device was pretty ugly and locking in that chest. And you probably should just thrown it off the platform.
Yeah, we should have.
Hey, cursed items are cursed items no matter what game you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
They may seem good and useful, but they really aren't. That did a lot of good when she's like, okay, I can heal people with this. This is fantastic. Yeah, for now. Till I start feeding on your life force and on your friend's life force. Then you're all burnt husks, and I'm happy where I'm in now. I'll just go dormant till someone else picks me up. The
I don't
thing
want
that
to be a husk.
no one wants to be a husk.
No.
The thing that ate Lady Platinum. I talked a brief bit about the Meller before, but um, you guys found one and didn't know what it was, and it was stuck to the bottom of the truck. And woke up in the middle of the night, found her, crawled on her, ate her, and took her basically reshifted her body and consumed her corpse. But when it did, it inhaled her brain and her memories, and so it became Lady Platinum. And it didn't know how to cope with having this human brain and human feelings in it. And so she was constantly going through issues, and she was just making saves left and right. And it wasn't coming until the end. She's like, I want to move on with the character. I'm like, well, I guess we can fail some saves. And she just started failing saves, and she turned into that monster. The Melor, and I'll talk to you a bit about them. Aeons ago, when the Termelor and the giant cat bear species who built the platforms and pathways, they could not obviously what they look like fit in with the humanoid societies they found. So they genetically engineered a shape-shifting creature to go out there and talk to them. And they had them under telepathic control, and they worked for them time. They didn't have to eat anything. They just were able to touch a human being, take on its shape, and then learn how to shapeshift what it looked like and build its own person. Sometime thousands of years ago, 2,000 years ago, one of them absorbed a virus, and it wasn't killed by the portals going through it because of their shape-shifting nature. It didn't get the virus out. So it began to spread from Mellor to Mellor to Mellor, and it turned them into these massive killing machines. And they're the reason all the Tarmelon are dead. They killed an entire massive 30 billion species, person species, and then proceeded to eat themselves as well. Some ate more of themselves, became a little more higher end, like the King of France in 49 was a very high end one who probably would have spoken to you guys and not gone into a killer rage if you had decided to basically fuck with him. He was a more advanced one, but he still was a bad person because they're still got that virus in their head. They're still evil. But like the little egg ones, those are little ones that have been sitting there for thousands of years waiting to hatch when something got near it. When this game was created, the most popular science fiction movie at the time was Alien.
Thing. Oh, Alien.
And so you have the eggs from Alien, you have the creature from Thing mixed into one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it needs more. How about a shape-shifting one? Oh God. Now the tiny ones they can't shapeshift. They're just little things from the flood, like in Halo. But as they get bigger, they can shape change. Once they get out of their dog size format, they can actually start turning to human beings. The one who had eaten Lady Platinum was very new to humanoid size, and that's why I had a horrible time. And she kind of ran the body for the longest time. Let's see. The Charmeller, and I kind of touched on them too. giant cat bear race, mostly gone, very few left. One had given humanity some crystals and spoke to it in weird ass rhymes and wandered off. One of the places you didn't get to visit was their home tree, which is on the last platform.
Mm.
One of the three last platforms, well, three last portals left was a home tree. They built these massive concrete trees to live in because they're cat bears, and they're just massive homes. And there's tons of stuff in there to find. But it was one of the few safe places ever to go and no one bothered you because only humanoids were there, only friends were there allowed there. There were no awful creatures there. It was safe, and it had food, it had water. It was a perfectly safe place to go. And you get to see some of the more of that technology, which is very personal, very psychic in nature, as you explain, as you experience the food, which I thought was really fun, by the way.
Hmm.
What is your
Yeah,
favorite food?
tacos were
Oh,
great.
Chewy loves tacos. He wants tacos so bad. What do I get? Get tacos. This is wonderful. What tacos is this? What tacos is that?
I did really like the food machine. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the digitization kind of fell by the wayside, and we just dealt with it as food. But those were sleeping quarters for the racers, so they didn't age. They were digitized, so they
Hmm.
didn't age, and they were put in those cabinets to get uh, to have their bodies rejuvenate because they get injured in a crash. Well, they take them down, they digitize them, put them in that a sleep chamber, and they're good to go. Unfortunately, sleep chambers malfunction. They all died, but they were Termilleran, as you guys saw from the crazy skeleton. And the food machine was one of those side ideas I had that we ended up running with, and it was fun to do. What else? Are there any other thoughts or questions you guys have?
Trying to
Thoughts and
think.
questions from those watching? Please ask away, nerds.
Mm,
Well, Leslie's got something. I can see it. What is it?
I'm trying to think about. I'm trying to remember all the things we did. So, what was the station then in um Venezuela?
Oh, that is based on a real thing, believe it or not. Um, Angel Falls in Venezuela, Palos Falls in the Western Hemisphere. Um, in 1932, the first person to see them flew over the plane, flew back around, plane lost that power, and it crashed on top of those rocks.
Hmm.
The person had to climb down from there and then walk for 8 days to get back to civilization. And they made it. That plane never came down until 1975. Was on top of those files for that long.
Wow.
I thought, well, that'd be fun for thing to write into the game. Let's just do that. And there's a Termillian cave there for it too, for a portal. So that's all that was. It wasn't anything special. Just a neat little feature of that world.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that. I had to learn about a lot about Sydney from 1940s because there was no opera house until the 1960s, and the place that's supposed to come out where the opera house is was a train station in the 1940s, and it had all the train traffic for that area. It's all the um, personal train traffic, the human train traffic, not the cargo stuff. That
Hmm.
little point had all, that's where the main train station was of all places, and so that's why I thought, oh, the platform would be funny to have there. Have it on top of the platform, so you guys can experience people and sneak out into the city at night, which you guys did. So that worked out as far as I was concerned. So you found the folks who were trying to kidnap and make slaves out of them in the SSA. Let's see. Any other thoughts? I don't want to keep us all night long if you guys are out of thoughts. Because I'll talk till the cows come home, but I don't want to do that. My voice is already shot.
No, man, I really, it's getting harder and harder to dig in, trying to remember things. Um,
And that's okay. Um, Going down the line as we're all friends, I'm sure if you have any questions, please just reach out and ask.
Yeah.
I'll answer them for you. Um, Going forward, we're giving up Mondays to another game, which I don't have a lot of knowledge about, but Fetch, one of our users here on Stolen Fires, is running it, and I believe it's sort of close to our time slot. I don't know how it's working because they're based out of Thailand, so um, I am going to step back from running streaming games for a while. I'm going to run some local stuff. I got stuff at the convention to work on locally. So, um, and I've got this new job which sucks up my entire weeks. So,
Damn capitalism. How dare that job take away your
yeah,
time from gaming?
how dare they? And I haven't talked about it, but when I had COVID recently, I had a fever dream, and I woke up with this wonderful idea for a story. And as I was getting off of COVID, I just began writing, and I have uh, damn well almost 20 pages of background characters and plot for this novel that I want to write.
Nice.
About a man who is, when he was a child, is chosen by a sentient park to be its arbiter with humanity, but it can't now. He's not ready. So when he comes back to that town to solve um, his problems with his father's estate after his father dies, um, he's the town is messed up and the park is thrown over, and he's able to heal that park and deal with the construction company kind of trying to destroy it. And he finds out the park is a haven for supernatural creatures that only he and a few people can see. And I had a dream about talking to a man about being an arbiter for this. And when I was working for them, I was in the park and I could not cross this barrier. I couldn't step out of the park. I was a part of the park, so I couldn't leave. But I was able to help people get around, come into the park, tell them what's good. And there were creatures there, and it just stuck with me. And I want to write this, and now I've got so much data in front of me. I've got to sit down and start working on things. So that's my next real project
Hey man,
outside of running
my
games.
other buddy just self-published a book himself, so you know.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of friends that I think y'all know and I know who are happy to help me get started on that kind of stuff. And since my role-playing game writing is not going anywhere right now, I thought, well, how about a small short story?
There you go. Just keep writing.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Just keep writing.
Just keep creating. I think that's what we
Exactly.
all need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So for your viewers and friends, don't stop creating. Whatever you're doing, have fun doing it, but don't stop creating anything because we have so many stories to tell, so much time to give. Whether it be running D&D, planned adventures, whether it be doing crazy stuff on your own, running a LARP, whatever you got to do, just be creative. I mean, shoot, now thanks to me talking about Spirit of 77 on David's board, I now have to run games apparently at Kiki T's in Burbank. I've been begged to do that, so now I'm doing that probably now too. I'm
Nice.
running Spirit of 77 for Weather Goods. Since it's a good idea, since the idea of the Humble Bundle is out, people can get it
Yeah.
really good, as Bob mentioned. So it's a good time to start playing that game. But those are my projects coming up. And I look forward to being back here eventually to run stuff. I wanted to run a Star Trek game. I'm not the most Star Trek person in the world, but I love the system and the way it works for Modiphius. It's a wonderful system, and
I want to
works.
play Star Trek.
It is it is very much the TV show in so many ways. When I got to play it, I was an engineer, and they encourage you to do technobabble to explain everything and make it up yourself.
Oh, I love that.
It is thoroughly
No,
entertaining.
in Starscapes, Kimmy Hughes' new Kickstarter RPG that she has coming out, there's an entire thing dedicated to the technobabble. It's a way to actually give yourself a +1 bonus to a roll, is to create technobabble about what you're doing.
Exactly. And that's all Star Trek ever really is tackle. Just you can pick and choose some of the words, and put them
You just
together.
need some isolinear data rods, and then you gotta degauss the system, and then send it through the deflector dish.
And then she
And then
asked me to
you got
degauss my carbon rod.
and you just got to reverse the polarity.
Always
Yeah,
reverse the polarity to the neutron flow because it cannot hurt to try that. Just don't reverse the polarity while I'm reversing the polarity because we're confusing the polarity. You're reversing it, I'm reversing it back again. We're confusing the polarity.
Orville did a very good job of parodying that.
All right.
also,
Well,
according to Star Trek Prodigy, there's 157 sciences.
of course they would set that in stone. No, but I'm looking forward to hopefully doing it in the future. I have a good plan for it, and actually, it's a good beginning to end campaign that I've got planned out. I just need to actually learn the system a bit more before I start running it. Like I know how the ships work in the game, and I don't want to be that GM. It's like, yeah, we'll just ham fist that. I can't with Star Trek. People will hate me if I do that with Star Trek because you just can't screw that up.
Yeah.
it's one of those settings where I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't want to claim I don't know something because that will go poorly. So with Star Trek fans, which I'm sure if we're running it on here, we'll get attention, like Rachel did with the Dune game.
Ah, that game is so good.
Yeah, and speaking of Dune, if you guys get a chance to ever play it, it's it's really deep because of the nature of that world and that setting.
I love Dune
And
so much.
watching them play it periodically was we have, in fact, you go back and look at the Stolen Fires YouTube channel, you can see previous episodes of Dune played and how much work they did on it, how much they rewrote that initial story, and how hard that role play was. I mean, I'm impressed watching it because I don't think I could do some of that stuff. And Rachel will say I could, but I don't buy it. Um, so yeah, the Manofit system is amazing to look at, and I look forward to getting a chance to use it. Is there anything else you guys are working on you want to talk about? I know Jim's want to talk about the convention a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just everybody knows already. September, Labor Day, have fun.
Agree. Definitely come on down and fun. Jilly should come. Anyone who's here in Los Angeles really should come for a day. It
You know what? Honestly, yeah, the thing is, you can buy badges for a day, or even if you just looked up, I really want to play this LARP, you can just buy like a $30 badge just for that one event, and that's all you need, you know. But we're working on some things for the future, trying to enter into the 21st century.
it's we forget about gaming community. Ever since COVID, it kind of smacked that around, and gaming community's been online, but going out to a convention again and seeing people playing with them, it's like magic all over again.
Well,
I
during COVID, we had our convention on Discord, and it wasn't so much the fact that the only reason we did that is because we wanted to make sure that the community had a chance to be able to interact in some way, shape, or form, uh, because that's the most important thing for a convention is the community that it builds around itself. Because not only are they loyal customers, but it's kind of a family. And I
yeah,
said to somebody last con that I really do believe this with great conviction is that you, Strategicon is could be a place for you to go and fit in, but much more than that, it's a place where you can come and belong.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
yeah,
and
I agree. I've been going there since I was 17. That was a long time ago,
yeah, I mean,
and I wouldn't change it for the world.
we love our community, and everything that we do is focused on that goal. Especially after it was a bunch of fans of the convention that ended up buying the convention.
That it
So
never hurts.
yeah, and no, I mean, look, Rocky. That some of the people that had the people that had it before were driving into the ground because to them it was a source of revenue. And I'm just saying, convention like this is never going to be a great source of revenue. And actually, a very wise person to me in the gaming industry says, don't ever go into this industry thinking it's going to make you wealthy because that's not the case.
Yeah.
But it is one of the most rewarding ones because of the interaction you get with your clientele and your fan base. So
I completely agree. Like I said, working when I worked for AEG for the 5 years I was there was nothing better than traveling the country, meeting fans of their card games, role-playing games, playing games with them, running tournaments, and seeing them have a good time on products that I worked on, other people worked on. There was nothing better than that. I got paid garbage when I worked there, but looking back on it, it was a great experience. I wouldn't trade it for the
yeah,
world.
I mean Zinzer being who he is, but whatever.
I'm not going to answer that
I
question.
was
I don't.
I was the staff figure painter for Plan of War when I worked there. Uh, it was during
Oh, that was a long time ago.
That's a long time ago. That's the '90s, my friend.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
But
but it was a fun group of people. I mean, Jim Pinto still worked there, and I worked there.
it was interesting working
Eric
part of the business. I'm glad I got to work in the business. I'm glad I got to work people and still friends with people who are in the business and still touch it periodically. So, Bob, since we talked about Spirit of 77 and the Humble Bundle, why don't you give us a little background on the game and the deal and what's going on? So I think people understand it, hear it from you and not just me.
Oh, well, Spirit 77 is high octane 1970s action adventure role playing. You can play uh, awesome badass motherfuckers like John Shaft and
honestly, if you can
Columbo.
put Samuel Jackson playing a role,
Samuel Jackson plays almost
Anything.
everybody, and it is currently available on Humble Bundle for like $18. You get all the books, the two core books, and a ton of adventures, most of which were written by David and are really really good.
let me tell you something that I really, really love about this game, and I think it makes it unique. In character creation, you actually mix and match two different portions of a character to create the character you make. So, unlike a lot of these other PBTA games where the playbooks are pretty much, you get to pick a couple of boxes in there and customize it that way. There's a lot more in sort of a meta in the character generation in Spirit of 77. And it's one of the things that I really, really enjoy about that game. And the best way to play or run that game is to just say yes to everything and just let the chips fall where they may, dude. That game just
The
turns fun time.
the
So
I
best the best way to play it is to LARP it at the convention and run around the Pathfinder Hall and make them mad at you.
yes,
I have
actually,
that video
I know
somewhere.
Cymerix very well. You can go ahead and piss him off all you want.
That was a great time.
Wow.
I always joke that I've run Disco Ambulance 15 times and it's never been the same story. And I love that about that game because
Dude, the,
not non-linear. You get players to do what they want to do, and you just kind of follow along and make it all happen.
the
Ending
Middle Earth
ending
food
happens
truck
when you
game
feel
that
like it.
Dave wrote a Middle Earth food truck game,
Oh yeah, I
and
remember that.
dude, that was just so much fun playing at a con where you separated teams, made a fantasy food truck, and then had a food off with against each other. It was
I
hilarious.
have the ire of the Postmaster General.
We were
Um,
Friesengard.
poor Jill, who has not experienced this with us yet, because Leslie has a couple times at the convention now, I think, with me. You and Matt played twice, I think, in two different ones. I
Yeah.
remember. You guys did the Kaboom show with me, didn't you?
Yeah,
That
the
was where we
Kaboom
got,
show and
that
the
was with the nuclear
wrestling one,
missile at
I
the end.
think.
Yeah, and so Jill will
The
get to play it
Sparkle
eventually.
One day.
Sparkle Pizza Circus.
Oh my God, yes. That was a whole badge thing for a while. Um, well, Jill, I'm actually looking at running some locally soon, so we'll have to get you involved in one of those.
Hmm.
So,
I would like to go to this convention and do more than just LARP in a couple games that I was already a part of, but all those games
oh
are gone
yeah,
now, so.
totally should. There's so much to do, so much to handle. Well, that being said, Leslie, you have anything you want to talk about or express before we head out?
No, apparently, I don't know if I'm ever donating those stem cells. I have not been contacted in like 2 months at this point. So, but like, still register if you're able because you could save someone's life.
That's great. Jill, you got anything for us that's entertaining or exciting?
Um, well, I'm working on my own novel too, so if you ever want to be a writing buddy, let me know.
All right,
I'm writing a YA sapphic road trip novel that I'm having a blast with. That's
all
like a
right.
third of the way done. And I guess piling off of Leslie, if you're interested, highly recommend donating blood. American Red Cross. I know they've recently changed some rules, so people who were previously not eligible may now be eligible.
Ooh, I should
Um,
look at that.
yeah, if you spend a lot of time in Europe during Mad Cow, people have been denied for the last 30 years to donate. They just changed the rules. You can now donate. So
Well,
uh,
hopefully that mad cow disease is gone at that point.
yeah, at this point, it's like if you had it, you know. So they're finally like, hey, you could actually donate. But yeah, please look into that. It's fun. Also, you get really cool goodies. I got an umbrella recently.
Nice.
An
Ooh.
umbrella for blood. Hey, who knew?
So if you're in a Blade movie and there's a blood spray, you have somebody to defend yourself.
Yeah. Well, also because I donate platelets, they always have
Oh,
really
yeah.
nice giveaways, like
Nice.
gift cards that I use for video games, and then I have a fun T-shirt that's Godzilla and King Kong fighting each other, but they've also have donated blood, so they have little arm things, which is fun.
Well, it's great, and I really want to say thank you all for playing. I appreciate you all as friends. I appreciate you pitching in and being a part of this through thick and thin, through my mistakes and how they've all worked out in the end. I'm really glad that you all stuck with me and hopefully had some fun.
I was glad I was here, man, and thanks for the sort of fill-in invite. Since I was part of the original plan here, but I got brought in, and no regrets, man. Had a great time.
Yep.
No regrets.
Also, Cassidy totally hoarded all the Chili Mac MREs.
Makes sense.
Of course, we understand.
I would expect
It's
nothing
the best
less.
one. It's the best one.
Gerald would help. You open with tuna, he'll have the chili mac for you.
Chewie retires and never eats another MRE.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Chewie will learn to cook. Chewie would learn to cook really well.
I'm pretty sure Chewie could probably make some tacos. I mean, at least some asada, man.
And help those folks at Antarctica base actually learn to eat well.
Hmm.
You aren't that far from Argentina. You can get some good food. You
Yeah.
try.
What? What? Yours?
Well, great. Again, thank you guys very much for playing. I hope you had fun. I appreciate you all
Thank
very
you for
much.
running.
Thanks for
Yeah.
man. Like you said, whenever you got something going on, never feel or never be afraid to give me a call.
Thank you for the fans and folks who stepped in and kind of watched things and paid for malevolences and beneficials to keep you guys going. Thank you to Rachel and the rest of the team at Stolen Fires, who are all great friends and great people. You guys are a part of the Discord. Please stick around and please talk to them, get to know folks. It's a really good place to hang out. These are good people who care about everything and want to make gaming better. I've yet to find anyone who's a bad person. Maybe Betty, but I'm not going to admit that. Oh, wait, I just did. Well, my games are ruined for the rest of my life. So, that being said, again, thank you all very much. We wish you farewell, and hopefully we'll see you all again in different ways soon.
Bon voyage.
Good night,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Oh.